Greetings, Ventureros!
Hi!
Welcome to episode 26 of
A Very Venture Vodcast.
This week we're going to be discussing season 5, episode 7 of the Venture Brothers, Bot Seek Spot.
Yay!
Yay!
Our general spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this episode, if you haven't seen this season, the show, go watch it, come back, and we'll be here with some venture goodness.
Mm-hmm. So the title of this episode refers to a Craigslist personals listing. It's usually men seeking men, women seeking men, women seeking transsexuals. I mean, it's literally like everything under the sun.
It's definitely a Jackson Publick episode,
Yes.
because who needs the Venture Brothers anyways?
Just why are they here?
It's just a detail.
So if you remember, we were saying in OSI Love You commentary that if something happens to the Clue Clown, then we'll actually know more about the investors' motives towards the guild.
Definitely. And in that episode, the one council member who was named by Monstroso de Brock and then accidentally shared with the investors was the clown.
Or
Clue Clown.
Boggles.
The Clue Clown.
I would say that it's on.
Yeah.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Investors versus guild.
Yeah. We do not believe that it was a car accident / heart failure.
No.
Our sweet patoots.
And Brock is suspicious of it too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, okay.
The one guy that's named, he's now dead.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future it's going to be like a cool, like the guild has to team up with the OSI to defeat a larger enemy.
The investors.
Yeah.
Captain Sunshine's at the funeral.
Yes.
Since apparently the Clue Clown was his nemesis.
Apparently.
Which is kind of like the Batman and the Joker rivalry. Their love-hate relationship.
Yes.
And he and Boggles had similar taste in color palettes.
That's for sure.
Maybe there's some similarities there.
So he actually does have a new sidekick now. He's got a very sassy Wonder Boy 5, as he was listed in the credits, who he refers to as Chum, and is really like a dead ringer for Dick Grayson, the original Robin, or like several of the Robins, but really him. And if you notice, he is standing on Crime-O-Dial's tombstone.
He is. Crime-O-Dial was another Captain Sunshine villain who was killed after his crack pit was set on fire.
His old henchman was actually lamenting about it in Powerless in the Face of Death. That's the episode where 21 and 24 are doing like a group therapy sesh with the other ex-henchmen.
Is anyone else kind of happy that Sunshine's getting a new boy wonder?
I was like happy for him. Is that weird? Because I don't think he's actually a pedophile. Like I think it
just comes off as a pedophile.
Yeah, the joke is that he's not. Kind of like Batman.
Yeah.
Sorry, Batman.
So, did you notice that he had sunspots on his back?
Well, you mean like those dark spots that mean that you might need...
Like precancers.
Oh, no!
Skin spots, Captain Sunshine with sunspots.
That's ironic. So the rights were given by a villain named Monsignor. Monsignor.
Monsignor.
Signor is spelled like a Mexican wrestler, like their get-up underneath religious robes.
Right. Monsignor is a term that Catholics use for somebody who's high up in the...
Clergy?
Yeah.
The only reason I know that is because of American Horror Story. So Red Mantle and Dragoon, who are the councilmen who became fused together, and I think now only count as one council member, which seems... Yeah,
they do. No, because the Sovereign refers to them as like 2 and 8 or something.
Oh, okay. So they actually get the separate votes.
Right.
Like, okay, good. That's appropriate.
They don't always agree, so it makes sense.
I know, right? They're wearing some sort of... Apparently they agreed on a 19th century morning gown to wear to the funeral.
Yeah.
And...
complete with the, face net thing.
Yeah.
That was weird.
And I enjoy that Red Mantle seems to have been very fond of Boggles, but Dragoon at best is, really indifferent about him.
Also, we learn that Red Mantle has an earth elemental power.
Yes, he's an earthbender.
I know. I was so excited. I was like... he was, tough.
His name makes 1,000 more times more sense, right?
Right, yeah. Because mantle, the layer of the earth.
I was
He's the mover of that.
Why did I never even wonder what his name was?
Yeah.
So the OSI is there, and they're watching.
Mm-hmm. Bum, 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 Big Brother.
And I think they're inside of, like, a fake crypt because, like, behind them, there are names and birth dates that I think are reversed on the wall.
Yeah, it's, like, all for show, just so they have somewhere to hide.
And that might be why Shore Leave is dressed as a priest. Otherwise, it makes no sense because the rest of the crew isn't. Like,
yeah, Brock and Soupy aren't dressed up at all.
They start researching Vendetta, who is a supervillain cyborg who apparently had his heyday in the 80s. They suspect that he's a member of the council. And we think that Vendetta probably comes from, obviously, Venture, and then Data, the Star Trek android.
Used to be known as Venturion, who's Venture plus Centurion, who's one of the Roman soldiers.
Right, he's in the Roman...
officers of the Roman army.
Yeah. As we could kind of guess from his Venture blues from the get-go, we're like, wait a minute. He has an old association with the Venture family. He was built in 1976 in the Matchless Mercenary Project, according to the OSI file on him.
He was created for military domestic excellence. It looks like Rusty isn't the first Venture to try to sell government rights to, like, mindless soldiers.
Yeah.
Because the information was classified, and we kind of wondered why.
Yes, Brock, made a good point. Like, wait, how did Jonas even manage to cover this up?
So in the file it says that the Matchless Mercenary Project, which was coded as Venture MRP, was also responsible for 2 other prototypes. MRP-7, Dynamonster, and prototype MRP-12, the Slaughter Engine.
So this project was abandoned after the subject exhibited erratic behavior, attempting to strangle Rusty Venture. This would explain why Rusty later has a meltdown about it, and he's like, "It's the metal murder man from my nightmares! He was real."
Sounds like Jonas told Rusty it was just a dream, which is great parenting.
Great parenting.
Like, he obviously remembers it, but he was like, no, son, just a dream.
It's fine. I wonder how many of those are in his subconscious. The file goes on to say that Vendetta is suspected of being a robot-human hybrid with built-in weaponry. He was stripped of his former personality, the human that makes up the human/hybrid part of him.
His human identity, however, is unknown, and he may appear unemotional. His biology is also unknown. X-rays provided by clandestine means reveal human organs that were enhanced by robot extensions of functions. It cut off at the end there, so we can actually see the end of the record.
Why would you have your human organs be enhanced?
I have
Super
no
liver.
idea. Super stomach.
Best spleen money can buy. There is, like, this missing period between 1977 and 1978 where he's not known as Venturion or Vendetta.
It just says unknown on his file.
Secret.
Interesting. Also, later on when he's dying, Vendetta seems to come back to his human self for a minute.
Yeah. He seems to be flashing back to his own death, saying, "Where's my wife? The plane is going down," which is, like, really super sad.
Yeah, and also, Jonas used a plane accident victim as his meat puppet for Venturion.
That is not even the messed up part. Who do we know who died in a plane crash and also knew Jonas?
The Monarch's parents?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yes.
So, Venturion tried to strangle Rusty. Why did he try to go after Rusty? It was the same question we have about, like, why does the Monarch go after Rusty? Why are they
so
linked?
fixated?
Are they connected?
The timeline matches up, at least, in Spanakopita. The year's 1968.
Right, so this would only be, like, a few years later, within the same decade. So, it's interesting.
Secrets!
And, oh my god, what if it is his dad and now he's dead? Super dead.
Extra dead. No longer even a robot cyborg.
Anyway, like, whoever he is, he's super lonely, okay?
Yeah, and because of that, we get more guild lists.
Ah!
Yay!
I could watch an entire show on this.
This one's filed under personals/miscellaneous romance.
Yes. Mature professional man of metal looking to make a meaningful connection. Might we make good alloys?
Someone likes alliteration and puns.
They do. Good point.
Yeah.
So naturally, the OSI decides to set him up with her own robot. Unfortunately, it does not help her.
Beep boop.
Beep boop. Instead, they try to recruit Ghost Robot.
who was one of Captain Sunshine's old crew / news team.
Yes.
Although they keep calling him a civilian, so maybe he's retired.
Maybe he did retire. He might have retired after we thought that 21 essentially killed him in every which way but Zeus when he impales him with a pitchfork when they're fighting each other.
Oh, yeah. He's all enthusiasm and sweet spirit, but he isn't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Yeah, maybe he needs some more RAM. Interestingly, Amber Gold also makes a comment during this conversation. She goes, "Everybody gets lonely sometimes."
And looks over at Brock.
Yeah. I didn't even catch this the first time I watched this episode. But are they, like, hooking up?
Well, there's also the time later when Shore Leave is sassing Headshot.
Yes.
And Headshot's like, "I'm with Amber." And he's like, "Oh, does she know that?"
And, yeah.
And Brock gets all flustered and, like, sends him out into the field. Like, "You should go over there and see if you can get a good vantage point."
Oh, you're right. He, like, changes the subject.
"See you later, guys. Bye."
Impending drama.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the Council of 13, they're getting a new councilman 4. And since he's, like, the newest member they've had in, like, 14 years, we have to assume that means that they serve for life, right?
Like Supreme Court justices.
Right.
Also, since the Sovereign is so obsessed with anonymity, it would seem that he's the only one who knows who they are, so he, like, appoints them as part of the council. It's not a voting situation.
Right, although there is apparently an exam, which we find out about later.
Right.
Okay, so this is also something we kind of talked about last week, or during OS I Love You. The anonymity thing. It's more like, not like strictly enforced per se. It seems more like it's the spirit of the thing.
Well, especially since they all meet in the same building. In fact, they're in the same room.
Did anyone else think they were, like, Skyping in?
I totally thought they were Skyping in.
That was a big joke. That was like a joke, right? Like that it was like they all just walk out.
They're all in stalls.
That's so old-fashioned. Why aren't they Skyping in?
They don't have the technology for that. Basically, the Sovereign forbids them from going on a work function together to celebrate Phineas Phage's appointment. But, like naughty teenagers, they stay online after Dad gets off.
Yeah. If you recall, Phineas and his proteins first appeared in Pomp and Circuitry, where he, like, fought with Phantom Limb and Professor Impossible. I also had to convince this one not to dress up like a protein for Giant Con because it's the most unflattering outfit ever.
Still not convinced. Councilmember Don Hell invited them all out to his club. And I like how several of them totally bug out.
Yeah, it's like when I get invited to a work function and I'm like, I have to
go to the moon.
My cat needs some food on the moon.
Chex Mix.
Yeah, I like later when they all stumble out into the room together, he calls one of them, Moon. You're coming too, Moon.
Moon, yeah.
So Vendetta ends up having dinner with a friend. Okay, dinner with a friend, which is why he can't go. And our favorite response from Red Mantle is...
Who is this friend, a Cuisinart? Which is our favorite in that it's the sassiest, but also it's the saddest.
It is the saddest.
He has no friends,
it's
and
like
they totally call him out on it.
It's a step above toasters. But we do find, on the plus side, we finally get confirmation that Dr. Z is a member of the council. But he's wearing, like, fake ears and this giant, like, stash to throw off his silhouette.
Which is smart.
He's smart.
Nobody else is doing it.
He's got so much class.
Such class. At their classy dinner date, Ghost Robot and Vendetta go to Chairman Wow's Chow House. Wow, indeed.
There's a marquee that says "Welcome," which is, like, probably my favorite thing. And the special is Kung Wow chicken.
Ghost Robot assumes the identity of Galacticon, a level 3 out of how many we do not know. And he's a guild member / Terabot, who's kind of a robo-skank, apparently.
We find out later. It is Vendetta's first online date, and yet already he's having to recalibrate his expectations.
This is the part where I couldn't stop cracking up, because all I could hear was Doc's, like, robot voice, which was just him speaking in, like, a choppity, no-flow kind of way through what I'm guessing was their Hulk mask that they have.
So since neither of them eat, they soon bail and they decide to go to a nightclub instead. The date, spoiler alert, just sucks for them both. And you think that would be really hard to tell because they both have like that stilted robot speech pattern.
Yeah.
But I guess like body language and bad date translates, I guess.
Yeah, and Ghost Robot later says, "I regret to inform you that my date is not going well."
Yeah, I love that he seems to think that his mission is to have a good date. Like we said, he's not
for intel.
He's not the brightest.
Yeah, it's cute. Meanwhile, Team Council of 13 is headed to Don Hell's in Steppenwolf's wheels.
Steppenwolf's character is he's the little wolf man, the little tail. He's super cute.
He's really cute.
Probably based off of this German existential novel because, Doc and Jackson. It had the same name, and it was written in 1927. It's about a man who fears his aggressive wolf nature, like the lonesome wolf of the steppes.
Although no actual werewolfiness goes down.
No, it's just a lot of monologue.
It's also a band from the 60s.
Which could also be what it's... But they're named after the novels, so
right.
Either way, we're cool.
We got it covered.